Trying to figure out which ear is which ear is which. Um, welcome to Insomniac Music. Oh my goodness, Insomniac Music Theater. To Insomniac Theater. This is me, the nefarious Mike A. Sims, late at night. I can't take credit for the name though because the name actually comes from MTV. Late at night would have this thing where music videos would play after hours, and I want to say it was probably like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, but it might have really been like 1. Could even I think it was definitely after midnight. But when you're younger, time is disposable. So to me, it wasn't even that. It was. I think time could have been super late. Time is disposable, so you don't realize how late it really is until you're older. You're like, oh my goodness, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. But when you're a kid, you think like 10 o'clock is late. That was a poor explanation of what I meant, but either way, this is Insomniac Theater special MikeStream. I was gonna call it Mike at Midnight. I'm still figuring out the kinks of what it is I'm gonna do with this or when I'm gonna do it. Between Uber Eats, my son, working for MSG Networks, making content, and doing a podcast every Wednesday. It's a lot, which I love. In a good way. Can you love things in a bad way? No, it's a lot in a good way, which I love. Wow. Maybe doing this late at night is not the best thing. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about some stuff that that pertains to Halloween, as it is almost the end of October. As I record, this is the 21st. About 10 days left. Not about. It's actually 10 days. Mike, be more committal with your statements. 10 days left until Halloween, which I love. I love Halloween. You guys can't see right now, but I have my apartment slightly decorated. My son used it last year. He would start singing, "This is Halloween." I'm not singing anything on YouTube. I don't know what'll get me flagged. I mean, be very careful with copyright. There's a lot of restrictions on these platforms, by the way. Facebook has, because I cut together some TikTok videos to make it, funny, to react to them or make it part of a storyline instead of unoriginal content. So I like to be very careful with these platforms because there's a lot of rules, and I just want to make sure I don't get any strikes against me. As I'm still learning the ropes of being a content creator, and actually taking it serious. But anyway, I wanted to just talk about some Halloween related stuff. Speaking of Halloween, I did just see Halloween Ends. Spoiler free, of course. Sorry, a long day of running these streets made my throat dry. I saw Halloween Ends, and I don't want to, of course, no spoilers, but I know the director. I want to say his name is David Gordon Green. I know he was attempting to show how evil begets evil, violence begets violence, becomes a cycle, and it can affect people and even towns and society in general. So they're trying to show that the fallout of Halloween Kills was this town that's basically under siege by fear, and that it might, the town and the people and the residents and Laurie Strode herself can end up indirectly becoming part of that endless cycle of violence. But the movie took a very strange turn. Halloween Kills ended with, and spoiler alert for Halloween Kills, it ended with Laurie Strode's daughter being murdered by Michael Myers, and the granddaughter and Laurie Strode surviving. Jamie Lee Curtis is Laurie Strode. So that's where it ended. But there was chaos because then Michael, was believed to have been defeated, killed like half the town or a bunch of people in the town, and it was, the town as an angry mob had killed an innocent man or caused him to jump to his death. It was chaotic. It was the ending was very chaotic, and Halloween Ends starts out with Laurie, and spoilers. This is very light spoilers. Starts with Laurie writing a book about how she's come to terms with her experiences, and and then then there's another character who's supposed to be, and I don't want to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil anything. Who is supposed to show fallout from, what can happen. I don't even know. He wasn't in Fallout because he wasn't a part of it. It's just a character named Corey Cunningham that's going to be it's going to split a lot of people down the middle. And as a matter of fact, the actor who plays Corey Cunningham actually said in an article with Variety that he was told by the director and by Jamie Lee Curtis that, you know, the choice they're making with this particular Halloween in regards to his character is going to make people, you know, have backlash for him as an actor and also for the character. So be ready. And I mean, when you have the warning and you do it anyway, then I guess, you know, you're ready to face anything. But his character, I don't want to spoil anything, so you have to just see it. But his character and the whole tone of the movie, it's kind of like when, I think there's always a disconnect. Not always. Sometimes there can be a disconnect when artists, creatives, whatever you want to call. I hate saying creatives because people are creative in different, you know, arenas. So I'll say with artists in particular, actors, musicians, directors, writers, they will have an idea and they'll try to explain that idea or translate it from conception to execution. And sometimes it just gets lost. Like, I mean, and I'm not talking about like, you know, tweaking and ad-libbing or changing things on the fly. I'm talking about like actually trying to make a movie that, or trying to make a work that is what you saw in your mind's eye initially. And from experience, I used to do this a lot with my skits, with everything I do actually. I would explain to Brian, you know, my best friend, for example, I would explain to him like, you know, this song is supposed to be about this, and this. And it would not sound any Broken Flowers. If you look at Mike versus the song Broken Flowers, is about me being in college and being rejected by a girl after a night of inebriation. The song has me, the eventual version of the song that's on Spotify, iTunes, and everything like now has a Latin chorus. It's sped up. It sounds like a party festive song. It was actually a very sad song. It's called Broken Flowers for a reason, based on the Bill Murray movie about him being a former Lothario who's looking for his, you know, illegitimate son and is questioning the three women from his lives. So it's about a moment in time with a potential love that had gone south, you know, for whatever reason. So I took the name from that movie for this song, and the song does not resemble the idea I had in my mind's eye at all, or in my mind. I want to say mind's eye. It might be something else. So I think the same thing happened with Halloween Kills. I think, you know, the idea they had just wasn't to try and make a slasher movie into elevated horror, but then just to kind of double down on the tropes at the end. You know, it's kind of like parody movies. When parody movies, sometimes they emulate in a very smart way, but a lot of times they end up just copying the plot and just literally seeing it to conclusion also. And it's just like, you are making fun of it, but you're still doing it. So it's not always, it's not always the result that they were looking for or even had in, you know, had in mind. And that's what happened with this movie. You know, it was the director. And then I feel like Halloween Kills is going to be the type of horror movie that, and I don't want to say edgelord type behavior, but that counterculture people are going to be like, oh, it's actually really good. Even though you're going to see it, and I hope you guys will watch it, you know, just to experience it and judge for yourselves. And you're going to think a certain thing about it. And it's if you can say, honestly, after Halloween Kills had its moments, but overall I was entertained. This one, I a lot of times found myself just waiting for it to start, waiting for relationships to be explained further, waiting for any relationship really to be explained because it was very confusing. Waiting for Jamie Lee Curtis to go full Jamie Lee Curtis because I love her. She was awesome in True Lies. She's awesome in You Again. She was awesome and hilarious in Scream Queens on television. She's an amazing actress. Like, I don't think there's anything she can't do, to be honest with you. I even liked Christmas with the Cranks because of her. I also just like that movie in general. I know it's voted one of the worst Christmas movies of all time, but I'm a sucker for Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm not going to give that a down. So she does some, first of all, she's killing it in general, but the way that the plot goes, they don't give her much to do, but she's still doing so much with it. And that's like that's like an acting thing. Yeah. As a piss poor actor myself, I can tell you a thing or two. As a horrible actor myself, I can tell you guys something about bad acting, and Jamie Lee Curtis is not doing any of that. Yeah, so you're seeing her, make these interesting choices and trying to elevate the material. It's kind of like, and this is good. People are like, what? It's kind of like Dolly Parton in anything, like Dolly Parton in Rhinestone, or Dolly Parton in 9 to 5, or in it's a Joyful Noise, the one with her and Queen Latifah, where they're like choir directors. Like Dolly Parton will, like, maybe it's her magic, it's her charisma. Let me say maybe her magic, her charisma, her acting talent. Like she can elevate things that are just dour, not dour. They're just average. I mean, Rhinestone was about Sylvester Stallone being a country singing cowboy from New York. Sylvester Stallone, hey yo, Adrian, Sylvester Stallone. Like, yeah. So with that, let me do the lip thing. But no, with that, it's like how much can you elevate? Because those are comedies or whatever. But how much can Jamie Lee Curtis elevate something where like you're the, and okay, let me clarify. The other actors in the movie are also serviceable to good. Even I wish I remember the young man's name. I could just look it up. This is not like my podcast. My podcast, why did I like it? I don't like to do research because it's why did I like certain things in cinema, or certain things from my childhood. So I don't like to know too much about it. But okay, his name is Rohan Campbell, who plays Corey Cunningham. Yeah, like he's doing great. Like even the characters who play the stereotypical slasher movie bullies. I mean, first of all, I gotta say that the group of bullies is very inclusive. There's different genders and races and everything like that in the bullies. So even like different, like some of the bullies are in the band, some of them's jocks. They were trying to spread it out, but ultimately the movie itself, it's just, I think it had lofty expectations for itself, and then kills ended on such a I know it was supposed to be the Empire Strikes Back of the Halloween trilogy. Okay, side note also, I love the concept of the darker second chapter. I love it. I think the original Star Wars trilogy from the 70s set out the perfect just template for like how trilogies should be. Light, breezy, fun opener, like darker second part, and then triumphant third part. And triumphant, but also with tons of bells and whistles, because between Luke and Darth on confronting each other, and then Han and Leia and the speeder bike, like there was so much going on, and then like the Resistance, of course, out in outer space, whatever, with Akbar and Lando. Like there was so much going on at the end that I loved it. As a finale, was fantastic, and The Empire Strikes Back was so cool to see, because the bad guys won. You know what I mean? Like Luke fell down the shaft with his hand cut off. Like Han is frozen in carbonite. Like the bad guys won. And Halloween Kills, yeah, like he was able to murk Laurie Strode's daughter. So Michael Myers essentially won. But there was essentially an ending with bells and whistles, but not really. Not really. And after Halloween Resurrection, where they killed, Halloween Resurrection it's been wiped from canon, it doesn't count, but they killed Laurie Strode in the first like 3 seconds, and they had to retcon the fact that she killed him in Halloween H2O. It was a lot. I was like, this one needs to be the end of it. I don't think Michael Myers anymore has the longevity of like a Jason or of a Freddy Krueger. Like I know they'll bring him back again, but I think genuinely, I don't know who's still clamoring for a Michael Myers movie. There's so many other iconic characters now. Annabelle, the Babadook, the Mask. I can't think, the one with Ethan Hawke. Phone Booth, I think it's called, a phone something. Black Phone. Like there's so many more iconic horror like villains now, or horror monsters, or horror, whatever you want to call them, characters now, that I don't think we need to rely on Michael Myers anymore, who honestly I don't think he was that good to begin with. And the whole kitchen knife thing, I mean, I know in Scream they use like hunting knives and stuff like that, so it makes a little bit more sense, but like the whole kitchen knife thing, it's like, okay, there were slasher flicks, but I think they might have run their course. Personally, I know there'll be a time when they come back and the nostalgic for them, but you know what? Also, I could be wrong, because I did love Scream 5. So maybe this particular movie just soured me on the overall idea of slasher films because of what a mess it really was. But take a look for yourself and let me know what you think. Because speaking of messes in movies, so Blade has been going through a crazy bit of drama behind the scenes. They pushed back the start date. The director, what's his name? Look this up as well so I don't get his name wrong. Bassem Tariq left, and he was the director. Mahershala Ali, who is a high order actor, high caliber actor. They're saying he's frustrated. They tried to say the director left because of scheduling conflicts. Just from reading Hollywood news for years and working behind the scenes with certain shows and productions, The Beautiful Life back in the day on CW, Law and Order, Gossip Girl, Marry Me with Jennifer Lopez. I know that behind the scenes stuff is they try to make it as tight-lipped as possible. So you'll never truly know unless there's a brave soul out there or a jilted former actor who doesn't care, who will say what the truth is. 9 times out of 10, especially with like bigger budget productions, the NDAs are very strong, so no one's going to say anything. I heard, I'm reading these right now from the Illuminati. I've also read on comic book resources, comicbook.com. You guys can search them and find. I've heard everything about the Blade movie from everything. It's supposed to contain everything from being set in the 1920s to European vampires to Dracula being the main bad guy to them only having 2 fight scenes is one of the reasons why they had to rewrite the script. I know that the creators of Moon Knight are now said, or WandaVision are supposed to be now involved in this whole thing. Mahershala Ali, according to reports, also is said to be very frustrated. And like I said before, as a high caliber actor, remember this is the same man who, when he signed on for Luke Cage, was like, I'll only do like half of the season because I have other things I want to do. He's an actual artist, because there's some actors who will do it for a paycheck. I mean, look, you're looking at one. If there's anybody out there who would like a serviceable actor in any kind of role, I will do it. And I'm SAG-AFTRA, so I'm a real actor. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's literally nothing wrong with knowing your strengths and utilizing that for financial gain, for career advancement. That's what life is supposed to be. Find something you're good at, do it for a high price, and do it for a long time until you can't do it anymore. Right? I think I just figured life out for like the 15th time this year. No, but seriously, all kidding aside, so when artists are given the runaround, it takes a special kind of artist to be able to sit through it if they believe in it. I know that The Rock believed in Black Adam so much that he literally chased this project for years, and he got it done. I know that Ryan Reynolds believed in Deadpool, that he literally had that test footage shot. That eventually led to the Deadpool movie being greenlit, which led to Deadpool 2, which led to Deadpool 3 with, Wolverine. Like, he's so persistent about this character because he understands what this character means to the fans, to his career, and to the comic book nerd culture itself. So he's made that a priority. Mahershala Ali, I know he said he was excited about it and to start, but is he the kind of actor who would push for one character? No. I mean, I don't believe it because, he did Green Book, which got him the Academy Award nomination, Moonlight. Like, he's an artist. He's going to attach himself to, he even did, Alita Battle Angel. So he'll attach himself to projects. But I also think that, you have a window with him where it's like, okay, are we doing this or are we not? Are we going to get the ball rolling or are we not? Now, I'm sure the checks that Marvel is offering him is very enticing, but some people in the acting business will really value their work, the freedom to do things over anything else. I mean, Chris Evans, surprisingly, was like that as well, but he was to a lesser degree because he did Snowpiercer, he did Knives Out, he did recently The Gray Man, but he was still trying to get some stuff in there that was outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he even liked to direct and things like that. So I know he was very much about that. Whereas Anthony Mackie, I feel like he's absolutely, and more power to him, I feel like he's comfortable and happy being, Falcon for the rest of his life, which is, listen, if I got to be Falcon, I probably wouldn't ask him to say anything. I'm like, listen, I don't want to take any other roles because I'm Falcon right now, or Captain America now. But I don't think Mahershala Ali necessarily is that, not saying he's not committed. Do not get my words wrong. I just don't know if he's as passionate as a Rock or a Ryan Reynolds to see this thing through. So, and if he's one of those actors who's like, send me the script and I'll do my job, as opposed to like, I want to be on it as a producer and all this kind of stuff. If he's focused more on the art, then it's going to be frustrating when he doesn't, because if I'm sure he's the kind of artist who likes to prep, and an actor who likes to prep likes to get into the character, get into the mindset, do certain things, work on inflection of voice, work on motivation and psyche building, all that kind of stuff for the character. I don't think he's going to be happy to just get a script and be like, well, we're shooting in 6 days. You know what I mean? So I said, you know what I mean? Like, you're here. You know what I mean? So, and again, this is speculation based on reading interviews and, not reading news reports or Reddit or news reports, not reading threads, Reddits or whatever have you. This is actually like based on what I've seen in interviews and, seen him interact with camera and seen him speak about his roles. So, I personally I'm so stoked because Blade 2 is one of my favorite action movies ever. Blade 1, I still don't think I've really seen. I've never fully seen it. I definitely, I have. Okay. So I put on Blade 1 a couple times and I fall asleep at different points, but I've cumulatively seen the whole movie. But it's one of those situations where it's like a patchwork, I'm sure maybe I missed 1 or 2 scenes, but I know it. Blade Trinity just had me laughing the whole time. By the time Triple H has that, that gun and he's like, oh no, he's running away. I couldn't, we were my friends and I were in theaters. That's how, yeah, we were in theaters and we were watching Blade Trinity and we were just like, this is absurd. This is ridiculous. And by the time Dracula is like, oh, I'm going to go walk around Los Angeles. And he's like, he has like a shirt open, and Dominic Purcell, who's an awesome actor. I think his name's Purcell. Great in Prison Break, great in DC Legends of Tomorrow on CW before it was canceled. Like seeing him strut around Los Angeles, I'm Dracula. Like, are you sure, bro? Are you sure you're Dracula? As Wesley Snipes was, I mean, depending on reports, like he was either super difficult or disinterested or whatever it was. But Blade Trinity was whatever. But Blade 2 with Valak, oh my goodness. And the Blood Pack being trained to kill Blade, Ron Perlman in full on like jerk mode. Oh my goodness. I can't remember his name. Daryl Dixon. Why can't I remember his name right now? But yeah, him playing Blade's familiar, or no, Blade's right hand man who ended up being a familiar. Everybody just firing on all cylinders. It was phenomenal. So the original Blade trilogy, I'm not gonna say I'm holding on to it like, oh no, please do it justice. But Blade 2 is one of my favorite action movies. So the new Blade, with Mahershala Ali, doesn't necessarily have big shoes to fill, but I would love to be excited about it, as opposed to now where I'm very apathetic just because every other day it's like, it's kind of like the situation where it's like, oh no, for real, this time I'm gonna pay you, or for real, this time she and I worked it out, or he and I worked it out. It's like once you see the problems are persisting and you're like, okay, well now I don't really want to hang out with you guys, or I don't want to be invested in something that might not pan out the way that we think. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but hopefully, like I said before a couple of times, they're able to find a director and a script that services a phenomenal story, because Blade has such a history in Marvel Comics, whether it's with Morbius or Dracula, or even that period when he was a Private Eye, this period among the Midnight Suns, his team ups with Ghost Rider. Like Blade is literally the preeminent vampire hunter in the Marvel comic universe. So there's tons of lore to pull to draw from, and I feel like it's just gonna take somebody who is passionate about the character to make that happen. Yeah, well, speaking of Midnight Suns, I recently saw Werewolf by Night, or as I kept calling it, Werewolf by Mike, for no reason other than the fact that my name is Mike and I just wanted to say it. Now, if Blade is looking to emulate that style, I think will be very cool. Because I think that's one of the issues as well, is that Marvel is trying to find a formula for its. I want to say it's like their version of like the Universal monsters. You know, the Universal Studios has Dracula, Bride of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster, the Invisible Man, Wolfman. You know what I mean? Those like they started with Dracula Untold, but then they said no. Then they had the Mummy with Tom Cruise. The Mummy's also part of it. Then they said no. So they tried to do the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe with their Dark Universe, but then they scrapped it. You know, Jekyll and Hyde was a part of it and everything. But I think Marvel's trying to do their own version of it with Werewolf by Night, Moon Knight, Man Thing, and Blade. But I think their trial run was Werewolf by Night because they had gore in there. There was actually blood. It was in black and white, but it was blood. Different filming techniques, more along the horror path. So I don't know if it'll be tied to the main MCU or if it'll be more like a parallel. I don't know, but I think Werewolf by Night was a pretty dope introduction into that world. You know, you can tell like it felt very lived in. While I was aware that I was watching a Marvel project, it wasn't overwhelmingly Marvel. You know, especially when they spoke about, you know, because the premise is about a bunch of monster hunters being brought into this one master monster hunter's house, basically, who's recently passed away, and this powerful artifact is to be given to one of the monster hunters, provided they kill or capture this monster that's loose, you know, on the grounds of this, I guess, fortress or whatever. And no spoilers here either, but the monster hunters attempt to try and capture this monster, and one of them is a werewolf by night. And but the aesthetics were very cool. It was very different. It was you could tell it was made with love of the old school 1900s monster movies. Like I said, the aforementioned Bride of Frankenstein, Bela Lugosi's Dracula. Like it was Boris Karloff. Like it was very much in that vein. But then it also, you know, at the end. It was mostly in black and white till the end when it became color, but still was like a very different color palette than the natural one, which I think was by design. And I think after that whole thing was done, it was I haven't looked at the numbers, or well, I don't know if this is released numbers, but at least you know if it did well or not. But I think that was Marvel's attempt at trying to see if they could, can we dabble in this horror? Just like they kind of dipped their toe in the more fantastical adventures with Guardians of the Galaxy back in 2014. They're like, you know, will they take this? Will the audience accept this more outlandish outer space kind of journey? And when we were along for the ride, they're like, okay, let's keep it going. Let's bring the Eternals in. Let's bring gods in. Let's bring Cosmos in here. Let's bring, you know, Eros on here. Adam Warlock. Let's do it. Let's do it. They became, and then I mean even Thor became basically a space Viking. So I think I think Werewolf by Night was their first foray. Like, okay, let's make it a little violent, a little scarier, a little darker, a little more grim, and let's see how they react. And since from what I've read so far, the response has been positive, and people are itching for a Midnight Suns movie. Midnight Suns is a Marvel team consisting of Ghost Rider, Blade. I think right now Magic from the X-Men is in it, who is like a half demon mutant. Moon Knight, like all the spooky heroes, the dark heroes are in Midnight Suns, and they battle like the supernatural. So I think there it is. Goodness, can they go supernatural? So I think Marvel is experimenting with the supernatural, and I think if Werewolf by Night, which was basically a TV movie, introduces the horror elements in a low key way, I think Blade is supposed to be like, you know, a big because even the Black Knight from the end of Eternals, he's being spoken to by Blade. So I think they're trying to make Blade into like the Iron Man of what the horror part of the universe will be. And so Werewolf by Night kind of showed the aesthetics that they'll play with. And I think it was awesome. I liked a lot of the choices for the director's vision and execution of what a modernized classic horror movie would be with, you know, I guess updated equipment. I'm hoping that Blade finds its footing. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for me for Insomniac Theater. I'm going to wrap this up. Check out Halloween Kills. Let me leave some comments or at me on Instagram or Twitter. On Instagram, it's at Mike A. Sims, MikeASIMMS. On Twitter, it's at the Epic Mike V. That's the Epic Mike MIC V, the letter V. Also follow me on TikTok at Mike A. Sims. Chat me up. Follow me. Check out my skits. Check out my music. Mike Versus, MICVERSYS. That's 2 words. Mike Versus. Otherwise, it's been Mike Sims for the nefarious Mike A. Sims for Insomniac Music Theater. See you on the flip side of humanity.